All right, Khan Academy Algebra, systems of equations with graphing. So if you notice, they'll give you a system with two equations, two unknowns, and then they kind of have this little line down here where you can manipulate the line, and you can come in here and you can grab the two dots and kind of rearrange them wherever you want for both lines, and then your idea is to figure out where they cross. So that's what this assignment here is going to be about. So let's switch over and do a couple of examples to get you on track. So this first one, I give you both lines in slope-intercept form because some of the examples do that. Slope-intercept form is probably the easiest to graph because they're in the form y equals mx plus b. And remember, the number that comes in front of the m, this is your slope. And the number that goes in front of the b, that is where you cross the y-axis or your y-intercept, 0, b. So remember, slope, when you're increasing left to right, it's going to be positive. When you're decreasing from left to right, it's going to be negative. And the change in y, or the vertical change, is going to go on top. And the horizontal change is going to go on bottom. So this represents a change in y to a change in x. So let's just take a look at this first one. So we'll call this the blue line. So y equals x plus 2. Well, I don't really see a number in front of the x. So when you don't see a number there, it's a 1. So the first thing where I start to graph is I always start at where you cross the y-axis. So my y-intercept is at 0, 2. So there's where we cross the y-axis. My slope is positive, and since it's positive 1, we can just put a 1 in the denominator, and that basically means that we're going to go up 1 unit and right 1 unit. So we need to go from this dot and go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. And we're going to get our line here, and we connect them. And now in the next equation, we'll call this the red equation, we have y equals 6x minus 3. And so the first thing I notice is my y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So I come over here to 0, negative 3. That's where I cross. And then from that point, I need to do a slope of 6, which is really 6 over 1. So I'm going up 6 and 1 over. So I go up 6 and 1 over. And it looks like we have something like this going on. So these would be the dots that you want to kind of put on the con. And then my solution right here, those two lines intersect at the point 1, 3. So I now have the x and the y value that make these two equations true. So you're going to put x equals 1 in the box in there, and y equals 3 on the box on there. All right, next example. Let's kind of scroll on down. This one's in standard form, so it's going to be a little bit trickier. So you have two options. One option with standard form, I'm going to show you both ways, is just rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So we start off x minus y equals negative 3. To get y all alone, or to isolate y, I'm going to minus the x from both sides. So that'll give me negative y equals negative x minus 3. And then I'm going to distribute a negative 1 all the way through the entire row, which basically just changes everybody's values. So I now have a new equation that is really the same graph as that, but it's written in a little bit easier form to graph. And because of that, I can now go and say, okay, there's my y-intercept at 0, 3. And I have a slope of 1, which is going to tell me to go up 1, right 1. So we kind of have this line going on here. And now in the next equation, I'm going to show you a shortcut. Well, not really a shortcut. And actually on this one, since it's just 4x plus y, I think it would just be easier to minus 4x from both sides. Now, I could write, if I wanted to, I could write right here, negative 2 subtract 4x. But I'll just have to realize that it's kind of backwards. You know, it's almost in y equals b minus mx form. So now my y-intercept's in front. I normally don't write it that. I normally come in and I put the negative 4x term first and the negative 2y at the back, just so we kind of stay uniform. And my y-intercept now is 0, negative 2, so that's my starting point. And a slope of negative 4, again, I got to put a 1 under it, so I have a ratio. And this time I'm going to go down 4 and right 1. So I'm going to drop 4 and go right 1 and have a pretty steep line going down. Well, down 4, right 1, I kind of fly off my grid. So instead of going 4 down, right 1, I'm going to go 4 up and left 1, and 4 up and left 1, and that'll kind of give me a little bit more accurate of a line. And now I see the real answer to the question is the intersection of those two lines is at negative 1 comma positive 2. Or in other words, x equals 1 and y, or at negative 1, and x equals 2 are my two solutions that if I plug those values in, they make the system true. All right, so let's actually go in here and let's solve the problem that they give us. We now have the notes to kind of see what's going on. So when I do this one, I notice that the y-intercept is going to be 3. So for this line, we'll call this the blue one. Kind of put a little blue dot here. So I'm going to have a y-intercept at 0, 3, and then we're going to have a slope of negative 7. So I slap a 1 under it, which means we're going to go down 7, right 1. So let's kind of do that here with the blue line. 0, 3, down 7, right 1. So get my first dot at 0, 3. And then from there, we're going to go down 7 over 1. So there's that line. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to take a peek at the red line or the pink line. I have y equals negative x minus 3. So there's my y-intercept at 0, negative 3. This one, it's minus x. So my slope is negative 1 over 1. So I'm going down 1, right 1. So 0, negative 3, down 1, right 1. So my red line crosses at 0, negative 3, and then down 1, right 1. And there we go. And now we see that the solution there, we see that the solution to the system is that intersection point, which is at 1, negative 4. Or 1 on the x-axis, negative 4 on the y-axis. So I need to put those in here to get full credit. And then Khan will give me my little jingle here to see if I get it right. So I'm going to put in the 1 and the negative 4. There we go. Got it right.